I created the perfect 3D printer setup for a compact space. Everything you need for maintenance, easy access, and getting the 3D prints done efficiently, effectively, and quickly. Let's talk about it. So obviously the first and most important thing that needs to be done is research. Getting some ideas and understanding what I really want, even though I had a rough idea of what I wanted. So I went online, did some research, seeing what other people have done, understanding what the requirements are to actually get those things achieved. But then I also wanted to make sure that I can visualize that in a 3D environment. So I found this really cool software on Steam that I downloaded, and I started designing the workspace to roughly what I wanted to look like. I know it wasn't going to be perfect. It's not exactly the same environment. There isn't exactly the same equipment available, but this was just to get a rough idea of what I wanted it to look like. So the idea that I had was to use my IKEA Skadis pegboard, which had been basically sitting there for a while doing nothing, and use that as part of my 3D printer setup. But where this would differ is it would have an LED strip going all the way around the back of the frame. So I started searching online, found a really cool design by someone called Hawk7. Massive shout out to you, Hawk7. You created a really cool frame and it looks very, very solid. So I downloaded it straight away and began printing. Now there was a lot of parts for this frame, and it also needed some additional bits and pieces like screws and washers, which cost me around £20 roughly. And putting the entire frame together wasn't too difficult. You can see that the washers go into these little rectangular units here, and they sometimes do require a little bit of force. The tolerances are really, really tight, but you got to put a little bit of force in and it will be fine. So once it was all screwed in together, you have the upper frame and then you have the lower frame. They are pretty much identical top and bottom. I had to put some labels on them just so I can identify which ones are which. One of the issues that I had was because the A1 Mini is not a massive printer, so there's a section of frame that I couldn't print out because it was too big for my base plate. But it didn't cause too many issues, so I just left it alone, and the LED strip still mounts fine all the way around. Once all that was complete, I put the pegboard back on the wall, making sure that it's level and just securing it enough so that it can handle the weight. And then it was just time to make sure that the LEDs work. So I plugged it all in, and while I was at it, I just wanted to make sure that cable management was on point as much as it could be. Now the frame going all the way around is great because it will shine across on the wall, but it won't give you enough light on the desk, which is why I mounted this light that actually comes as part of the A1 Mini, but you got to make a frame for it to sit in. So I created this one for the board itself. It sits at the top and shines downwards on the entire work surface. Then it came time to testing the lights out just to make sure everything is working really well. And I think really well it did work. It adds a really nice ambient glow, and then you got the main light shining downwards just to give your desk space the light that's needed because it can get quite dark. The desk setup itself, where the printer is sitting, wasn't too complicated at all. I just had a simple IKEA desk, which was about 1 meter long and 60 centimeters wide. I had an old desk mat that was laying around, which I used to place underneath this printer just to make sure it doesn't slip around all over the place, along with the AMS light as well. After that, just positioning it to one corner, just so I leave enough room on the other side for the accessories that I have planned. Alright, this was the fun stuff now. Building the actual frame itself with all the components that I had, some of which were already supplied from IKEA and some of which I made. Like this one, for example, which is a screw holder. This is fully 3D printed. Even the actual mounting system itself simply just screws into the back of the board and you just turn it to tighten it into place. I think that's really, really cool, and you can fit all different size screws, which I have done here. Obviously, depending on what it is that you're going to use it for. You know, you can use it for other things other than screws, but I've used it here for screws. Now, the tolerances of this can be tight, so you might need a plier to turn the actual mounting system to secure it to the back of the board. I also wanted to mount my Apple Watch to the board itself as well, because I don't like it sitting around with a charger moving from one place to another. So I thought, let me mount it securely into one place where it stays there permanently, and I know exactly where it is. I don't have to look for it, and the watch can just sit on there, charge whenever it's needed, and then be removed. Very, very simple and clean. Continuing on from the same kind of mounting system, I found another print online which I used for the pliers. So there's two separate sets of pliers that I used, and they will be sitting here next to the screws. Now, as you can tell, the majority of this pegboard is going to be used for tools, the most common tools and accessories that are needed to access the workspace. I also wanted to mount my digital caliper on this board, which obviously in this kind of space is crucial for measurements and making sure that everything is done accurately. And I think it looks really cool just hanging there with the rest of the tools. If you want to support our channel, we've built something that might be helpful to you, especially if you are a YouTube content creator. It's called YouTube OS Pro, an all-in-one Notion workspace designed specifically for creators to plan, manage, and grow their YouTube channels. We've designed this for creators who want to manage everything in one place, from video ideas and sponsors to finances to goals and milestones. Not only that, it comes with a fully detailed built-in help guide, a full 45-minute walkthrough video, and a lifetime of updates. So everything you need is all in one place to help you improve and get things going. Or if you already are a YouTube creator, this will help you plan everything and get things organized moving forward. So go ahead and click that link in the description and use code CREATOR20 to get 20% off. But you better be quick because it's only available to the first 100 of you. Thank you for supporting our channel. Let's get back to the video. So continuing with the theme of getting all the accessories on the wall, this is what I like to call it. I call it the wall. I decided it would be a great idea to put the electrical tape and the brown tape on the wall because I use these quite often depending on what I need to ship, what I need to package. So I thought this would be a great idea to keep on the wall. Then using another IKEA metal bin, I chucked in some more of the common accessories like Allen keys, there's a knife in there as well. A lot of the common things that are necessary for such a workspace. One thing that's always been a pain is managing these small screwdrivers and Allen keys. So I 3D printed a case for each one of them, really slim so it doesn't take up too much space and it's not really too intrusive as well. So they can be mounted right up against the pegboard, and because it's nice and slim, it doesn't stick out too much and you can mount all of the keys vertically. I also wanted to put my electric drill on the board as well because I don't really feel like there's a space for it in the drawer anywhere, so I thought this would be another great addition to mount along with all the screws and other tools that are available. I thought this would be the perfect spot for it to go. I then 3D printed another small pocket for the super glue and the printer lubrication oil to sit in. Sometimes I need quick access to my LED light and even my UV light, so I printed two different mounts and I mounted those next to my drill so that they are easily accessible when I need them. One of the remaining pegs that I had left, I mounted it next to the actual Apple Watch charger so that when the watch is finished charging, I can take it off the charger and just hang it there. Now I do have a little bit of space left in the middle, so for the time being, I don't have anything to put there. So I printed my logo and put the logo in the middle of the frame. One thing that definitely needed to be sorted was the actual remote for the LED light. Now this does have a sticker on the back so you can actually mount it to the wall, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to actually make an actual mount for it, which actually secures to the wall with screws, and then you can use the surface of that 3D printed part and then stick the remote onto the actual part itself. That way it creates a much more strong and solid bond and it's not going to go anywhere. So I decided to take some measurements and then started to design my own. Now during the time I was doing some research on 3D printers and how it all works, I found this really cool set of design board templates for screws, different types and different sizes of screws by someone called Alexander Chappell. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong, but he's created a set of templates for different size screws, different size bolts, and I think this massively helps the workflow to make sure you get the right size screw, washer or bolt for the project that you're working on. So massive shout out to Alex, you've done an amazing job. Back to the design, I had to make sure I get the size of the chamfer right as well, so it sits flush within the body so that when the remote sits on top of it, the screw is not going to be sticking out. Now straight away I made a couple of mistakes. I had made the design absolutely massive, so it was way too big, so I stopped the print immediately. And then the second print that I did was also a little bit too big, so even more adjustments were needed there before I made it just right. And version 3 was actually shorter but thicker as well, and I think it looks really cool once it's actually attached. It sits really nice and flush on top of the screws and it looks awesome. And by the way, if you have Govee lighting and you want this mount, I've included a link in the description where you can download it for free and 3D print it yourself. And lastly, setting up the desk itself, I have a few trays that I've 3D printed as well, including the tray that came with these 3D printed design boards, and a bigger tray here that I use for my labels and my labeling machine. And I also put the glue in there that's sometimes required for the heated bed of the machine itself. I also printed this fillet guide just to check the size of angles. Then I have another smaller tray for temporary 3D parts, a small bin for any loose parts that are left, and a small container here for anything that needs to be put away so that it doesn't get lost, something small for example. And of course the actual poop tray itself. So that's it. That is the 3D printer setup. I haven't gone over the top and added too many things. I've tried to keep it as simple and functional as possible. I've also stored my different filaments underneath the desk so I can pick whichever one I need whenever I need it. But overall, I think I like to keep the look of the setup as minimal and as clean as possible, and I think I have achieved that. Over time, I will be making more changes. There are various other things that I've got planned that I wanted to add, which again will be done over time. But keeping things nice and simple as they are at the moment, I think it gives it a really nice aesthetic and gives me really quick and simple access to all the tools and maintenance parts that I need. Alright, if you guys have any suggestions of what you think I should add or perhaps even take away from the current setup, drop them down in the comments below. Make sure you guys like this video, and if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts on what kind of content you guys want to see coming up. I would love to create more 3D printed content such as this, so if you have any ideas, again, put them in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed the video guys, and I will see you in the next one.